couple of the goals of this program, besides amplifying voices, is like young people that are idealistic. Everybody wants to be an anti-racist because it's wrong racism. And racism does exist in America. And everybody wants diversity and equity and inclusion. We don't want to leave out anybody. We want everyone to have opportunities and be loved and a sense of belonging. But it just seems like this particular that you describe in an incredible video that you produced on your channel that I just really liked. You described it as a cult. I left the social justice warrior cult. And I was wondering if you'd like to maybe just talk about the idea of the cult aspects of it. And then for you, as a very articulate, very intelligent woman, the process that led you to those conclusions that this is led me to a place where I no longer want to be. And what was your pathway to getting a different worldview, a different perspective, to maybe give hope to people that are considering adopting this lifestyle, where it might lead them? And then also, cults are strong and it's hard to leave because you have your support network, your friends, your sense of purpose, your identity. So much of your humanity is tied into it. And so, like, I can speak because I know a lot more about religious cults. It's very difficult to leave. And you're not going to win an argument or a debate or anything like that. So what was internally happening to you on an emotional and psychological level that caused you was it an abrupt process that happened suddenly, or was it a long drawn out process? And to give hope to people and to stimulate their mind in a different way. Could you share that?
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good topic. So I would say that for me, it really did start with leaving veganism behind. Veganism was a very big part of my life for so long. And
could you describe veganism real quick too, just for those that may not know exactly what that is? That would be maybe a good baseline.
Yeah, for sure. So veganism is the belief that you don't need to eat any animal products in order to be healthy, and that it's actually supposedly the most ethical way to live. So you don't eat meat, you don't eat dairy, you don't eat eggs, no animal products whatsoever, no honey, and you basically try to live as cruelty-free of a lifestyle as possible. So you're eating fruits and vegetables and beans and nuts and seeds and plants and everything. And the idea behind it is that it's more ethical for the animals, and it's supposed to be better for the environment, and it's also supposed to be better for your health too. And so being in your early 20s, which is what I realized a lot of people fall into veganism in their early 20s. You have this very idealistic worldview where you believe that, this is the answer to everything. And so a lot of people in the vegan community are very cult-like. You basically have to change so much about your relationships with other people in order to be part of the vegan movement. And, not all vegans are like this. There's definitely vegans out there who are more normal and who don't reject other people for not eating the same way. But what I found in the vegan community that I was part of is that it was pretty judgmental, and it almost encouraged you to cut ties with family members if they were going to be serving meat, or, cut ties with people who don't see animals the same way that you do. And you basically make your entire life about this diet, and you form all your friendships around it. You get very passionate, and after a while, I started to have health issues. So, and it was very frustrating for me because I thought that I was eating the healthiest diet in the world. I was totally convinced that this was the truth. And my entire life, I've always been very driven by truth. I want to know the truth about everything. And if I feel like something is the truth, I will follow it to the end. I will dive really, really deep for as long as it proves to be the truth. And so, growing up, I was vegetarian. Both my parents are Indian, and, vegetarianism is very popular in India. And anyway, so I went vegan in around 2013, 2014. And, through veganism, through being part of the vegan movement, you get really deep into the social justice warrior mindset cult. And then eventually, in 2018, I started to have some really big doubts about veganism because I was experiencing a lot of health issues. I was having just all kinds of gut problems. I was taking naps all the time, even though I thought that I was supposed to be on the healthiest diet and have all this energy. I was needing to take a nap every day. And I was noticing I was bloating a lot, and it was really hard for me to hold on to weight. And I just noticed that my overall appearance started to look very sickly, and I felt so weak, and I was so confused and so frustrated because I really believed that was the truth about what you're supposed to be eating. And then eventually I came across stories from these vegan leaders in the movement about how they started eating meat and how it improved all these health issues for them. And so my entire worldview started to change. I went from thinking that eating animals is wrong to thinking that maybe it's not wrong if we actually need it for our health. And so to make that mental leap to go from eating animals is wrong to eating animals is right, it requires you to change your opinions on almost everything. It's like actually kind of wild how, like, you know, when you're living in a world where you think eating animals is wrong, then it affects your morality on everything, you know. But then now that when you think that eating animals is okay and that it's maybe designed to be that way, it causes you to think about God, it causes you to think about natural order, natural design, and you kind of go, like, mentally I started going down all these rabbit holes of like, okay, like if we're designed to eat meat, what else are we designed to do? What other beliefs have I had that maybe weren't true? Because obviously I was so wrong about this. What else have I been wrong about? And so I basically had a mental breakdown at the end of like 2018, and then 2019 I started eating animal products and my health improved. And I noticed that my emotional state improved as well, because I think a lot of the nutritional deficiencies cause a lot of emotional dysregulation. And I noticed that in the vegan community and in the social justice warrior community in general, there's a lot of emotional dysregulation. And I wonder how much of that is due to diet, because so many of them are like very plant-based and vegan, and they have all these emotional problems. And like, anyway, that's like a whole other side topic. But basically, I had to question all of my beliefs at that point, and I slowly started to go on the other side. I started watching debates with people who used to trigger me, and I started to listen to that perspective more and just like test my triggers more until I basically switched to the other side completely.
So, what do you mean by the other side? Like a more balanced worldview? I mean, because many people would be a vegan or vegetarian for health reasons. It seems like you were mostly for conscience sake. Are you talking about the diet issues, or all the other sociological issues that we're facing as a society as well?
I think I just mean to go from being a social justice warrior liberal to now being more on the side of like, okay, there's a God, there's a natural structure to life, there's a design, there's, you know, like, I guess if you want to say, to go from a godless worldview to one where there is God, basically is what it comes down to, I think. You know, because without God, you base your morality on your emotions and on your feelings. And then with God, you base your morality on this thing outside of yourself. And so, you know, like the social justice warrior movement, it prioritizes emotions, whereas the non-social justice warrior movement, it doesn't really prioritize emotions. It prioritizes more of like a moral code that, yeah, I guess that's what I mean.
Yeah, it does seem like, in my experience with the social justice movement, the advocates that are strongest, the biggest revolutionaries, there's not even a thought of God or an idea that there is a creator, or there is involvement in the world affairs. And it's almost like we as a group become God, that we are going to eliminate racism, and we're going to eliminate gender. We're going to make the planet so much better by our collective selves, and we're in this together, and we are going to burn down the old, and we're going to make a new, and we're going to create this utopia made in our image. It almost feels like, versus there's a creator with a divine order that has set things up. Do you agree with that at all, or is there nuance to that you would say?
No, absolutely. That's 100% true. Like, you know, when you live your life based on your emotions and how you feel and what you desire, then you end up creating so much chaos and so much suffering for yourself and other people. And, you know, that's the main thing that veganism, and because, you know, I mean, the reason why I went vegan was because of emotional stuff, you know, watching what happens to the animals, it gets my emotions riled up. And then you make an emotional decision because you feel emotional, and you don't really think about, you don't really think about logic as much. And then the other side, you know, if you're not prioritizing your emotions, that means you're prioritizing something else. And I think that is God. So definitely agree with you.